Hi everyone, my name is Vasiliki Gkofa and this is the second part of our video on child abuse and bullying. So as I said in the previous part, in this video we're going to discuss more about bullying, what parents should and should not do, and what the child should and should not say. Well, bullying sometimes can be confused with teasing, and that's actually understandable. Because imagine a child comes home and he or she tells the parent that a kid today at school said that to me or did that to me. The parent might think that actually my child is being bullied. However, bullying is recurrent and repeated behavior towards the child aiming to undermine them. The bully will probably aim to undermine the weakness of the child, so they're more likely to target a child that seems weak. But of course, there are exceptions to this. The child might be very successful. They might actually be the smartest kid in the classroom, and that's why they're actually the victims of abuse. However, because the aim of the bully is to gain control and power, exactly as abuse, as we said in the first part, it's more easy to do so towards someone who seems more weak or has a weakness. Maybe they're not able to speak up, or they don't want to have friends, they're not able to form relationships. So it's far more easy to target a person who is more weak rather than a person who has power as well. The bullying can be present at any age, so you can see bullying even in adults, in adulthood, maybe at a work environment. And the bullying can happen within the family unit or outside, within the family unit at home or at school. Now, what are the forms of bullying? Well, we have social, we have gossiping, for instance, spreading rumors. We have verbal insults or threats or negative comments at school. We have physical, punching, kicking, or biting. And we also have cyber. And this is very important here because cyberbullying is quite common nowadays. Children now are more likely to have Facebook or Instagram, to be on social media, whereas in the past years, the children were more likely to go out and play. Therefore, what research has shown is that actually once children have started having social media, then depression and anxiety has increased. So cyberbullying is present through social platforms or through texts or through emails. We might also have systematic bullying, and that means that if I have, let's say, siblings at home, they might team up against me. Or if my dad or my mom is an alcoholic one, that might take a toll on me. Or if the mom or dad, again, is expressing some emotional bullying, so they might be more controlling over me, that might also be the case. So those are the forms of bullying. Now, let's move on to the effects of bullying. Well, of course, if the child sees, for instance, a comment on their Instagram post saying that, well, you're ugly or you're not very pretty, or they reminisce about the moments that actually at school they tried to do something and someone was making fun of them, they were telling them that you're not very smart, you're boring, you're not very active. So they might even remember those moments, and therefore their self-image and their self-worth will be compromised. Their self-esteem will be reduced, as well as their self-confidence. Those children might also have a poor academic performance, and that might be just because they do not want to go to school because the bully is at school. Therefore, their grades will start becoming worse. We might also have some sleeping difficulties, and of course, depression and anxiety are very prominent, as I said. Now, you need to remember that even one incident of bullying can be enough. So even one incident of bullying can create depressive symptoms. So the child might be depressed, and those symptoms might continue to adolescence and to adulthood. So we need to try and reduce bullying at school or even at home or at any other working environment, for instance, so that the effects are not detrimental. The child might not report bullying at school, or they might not report it because they might actually think that, well, maybe it is true, maybe I'm not very pretty or I'm not very smart. Therefore, they feel embarrassed and they don't want to tell anyone else about the incident. They might also think that I will be misunderstood. Maybe the teacher might say that it's also my fault that I have been bullied. So that makes them not want to tell anyone. But why does bullying happen? Well, as we said, the bully aims to undermine the other individual in order to gain power and control. What you also need to consider, which might be something that you did not know, is that the bully has been a victim themselves sometimes. So because that power and control has been taken away from them, they're trying to inflict pain emotionally or physically on another individual so that they can gain that confidence back, that self-esteem, that temporary boost. The bully might also have some learning difficulties. They might also be lonely. So by doing that, they are gaining, as I said, their self-esteem back. But that's definitely short-lived, because they will move on and they will try to find another victim, another person, so that they can keep getting that self-confidence back. And as we might see, that child might move on to adolescence, and actually the bullying will continue. They will continue bullying their co-workers or any family member because they have been used to that, and it's their only way to gain their confidence. Now, who is more at risk? Well, children, as I said, who seem more weak are definitely the easy target. So if the child has a weakness or they just seem weak, then it's more easy for the bully to exert power and control towards them. But of course, the bully might target them for many different reasons. As I said, the child might even be a very successful one and a very powerful one. And again, we might see bullying towards them because out of spite or because of jealousy. In terms of physical appearances, if the child is a smaller child or if they're younger in age, that might also be a factor that makes the bully target them. Now let's move on to a very important topic, which is what parents should and should not say to the child. Well, of course, you should not be asking them point blank, are you being bullied? Because if the child is quite young, maybe the whole concept of bullying is very foreign to them. So they might not even understand what it is that you're asking them. So they might tell you no. Well, if you're also ask them, are you being bullied? And they are aware of what bullying is, they might feel embarrassed. And at that point, they might decide not to open up to you. So you can ask them maybe indirectly, is anyone picking on you? Or are you receiving any negative comments from people at school? Through that comments, then the child might feel more at ease and they might be able to open up to you more. You want to gain as much detail as you can through those circumstances, because if the bullying is physical and your child is in danger, then you need to bring that to authorities. You do need to report that to the school. But if the bullying is more verbal, and if, for instance, your child is a bit older, maybe 11, 12, or 13, you can discuss with them about how they could respond when that happens. So at this point, you want to make your child feel empowered. Definitely, you should not overreact. So that's something that you don't want to do, because if you do that, then the child will not open up to you again. You want to make them feel empowered and validate their emotions. So you can tell them that, first of all, you should not walk away out of fear or because you're scared. You can definitely walk away if you do not care. But if you tell them you need to walk away and run, then that what will make the child believe is that, well, I'm not being listened to. I'm being misunderstood right now. So they won't decide to open up to you again. So that's the last thing that you want. You want to remind them that you can remain calm in a situation. So for instance, if that happens, you want to always be very, very calm. You don't want to start punching and kicking the bully as well, because that will create a very high emotional reaction. And that's actually what the bully wants, because if the bully is getting an emotional reaction from you and they're still able to win, let's say, the fight, and they're able to exert the power, that is giving them more confidence. That is boosting their self-esteem. But instead, if you're calm and you do not care, what that will translate like is that, well, I'm not getting what I want right now and it's kind of boring, so I will move on to someone else. You can also practice scenarios with your own child, and you can act as the bully so that they will practice how to remain calm. So when the situation arises, they will know what to do. As I said, what you don't want to do is tell them to walk away out of fear, because that will not make them feel empowered. Of course, you also don't want to tell them that, well, the bully did not mean that, or the bully said that because they really like you, because that will translate like, well, my parent right now does not understand what it is that I'm trying to tell them, so they will stop opening up to you because they will think it's pointless. To finish off, let's talk now more about what the child should and should not do. Well, what we want is for the child to gain that confidence back, to have this boost in their self-esteem. They can do that through very simple activities. For instance, they can just go outside and play basketball, or they can go outside and play with their neighbors. They can also start getting fit. If they are older, they can even just go to the gym. That will improve their self-image, their self-confidence. Before school, they might even just start listening to music, or they might watch their favorite series, or they might start dancing so that they can get that positive feeling back. Their day will be enlightened, so when they go to school, they might feel more empowered. You can also make some declarations. For instance, you can write them on pieces of paper saying like things, I'm very brave, or I have my friends around me, or I can stand my ground. So you can remind yourself of who you are, of your values, and that will create a whole storyline. And in that storyline, it does represent who you are. I have my support system, I have my parents, I have my friends, I can always tell my teachers. So bringing that self-esteem back, that confidence back. What you don't want to do is to not go to school so that you can avoid the bully, because that will have an impact on your academic performance. You don't want to start hurting yourself, or you don't want to blame yourself and feel guilty. Of course, you don't want to become the bully yourself. I know that you will think that that's maybe the best thing that I can do, to punch back or to fight back, but you don't want to become the bully yourself. That's it for today, guys. That was the end of the second part. So now we talked more about bullying, the forms of bullying and the effects of bullying. We also discussed about what parents should and should not do, and what the child should and should not do. As a last comment, what I can give you is some series recommendations. For instance, we have 13 Reasons Why on Netflix, and that will give you a very good understanding on how bullying could be expressed in school, and why the child sometimes might decide not to open up to the teachers or the parents. You will also get a very good understanding about the concept of the bully being bullied themselves, being victimized, being abused themselves. So it will give you a good idea about child abuse and bullying. Thank you.